Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin just perfectly rejected from my exact area of resistance in the short term, as Michael Saylor just announced that Strategy bought a lot more Bitcoin, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum still struggling around this significant area of resistance, while Solana is continuing to hold above this very important area of support. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, taking a look at some Bitcoin news today, and this actually came out just yesterday because it came out basically as I released my last Bitcoin video. So essentially just after I recorded my last video, this got released, where Michael Saylor basically announced that Strategy, previously known as MicroStrategy, has just bought more Bitcoin. And this was not a small purchase. This time around, they bought over 10,000 Bitcoin, 10,100 Bitcoin for over $1 billion US. And so even for Strategy, this is a pretty large purchase for them, and they bought this at an average price of approximately $104,000 per Bitcoin. And currently, Strategy, the company, holds over 592,000 Bitcoin that they acquired for almost $42 billion US. And so obviously, Strategy is continuing to accumulate more and more Bitcoin, a very large portion of the total supply of Bitcoin. And in case you're new to all of this, of course, Bitcoin has a total maximum supply limit of 21 million, but out of that, there's already some Bitcoin that's left to be mined. So some Bitcoin, of course, not available. There's also approximately 1 million Bitcoin estimated to be held by Satoshi Nakamoto, and also millions of Bitcoin estimated to be lost forever. And so in reality, there's only a few million Bitcoin, give or take, that's actually relatively liquid, that is circulating around, that people are being buying and selling. And so with Strategy continuing to accumulate such a large portion of the supply of Bitcoin, ultimately this can lead to a supply squeeze where there's not enough Bitcoin to go around at the current prices. So if Bitcoin is continuing to be bought up, especially by large players like this, essentially the buyers are having to bid higher and higher prices for the few Bitcoin that remain. And so even though these large purchases don't always have an immediate impact on the price of Bitcoin, because large players like this often utilize things like OTC desks and VWAPs and TWAPs and things like that to limit the impact to the price of Bitcoin as they're making these purchases. But even though that is happening in the immediate short term, once again, over the long term, this can be very bullish for Bitcoin, as there's less and less Bitcoin to go around, which can ultimately force the price of Bitcoin towards the upside over the longer term. And so this is the current situation, fundamentally speaking, looking really bullish over Bitcoin's long-term future. But if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today on the weekly time frame, this super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And if we're looking at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, the weekly Bitcoin MACD is showing a decline in bullish momentum. And so we're not yet at a bearish crossover on the weekly time frame in the MACD indicator, but we're currently trending towards a possible bearish crossover maybe in a month from now, give or take, based on the current trajectory. But at least as of right now, the current situation is that we are losing bullish momentum. So obviously the price is relatively flat in the short term, no momentum. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, right now, we still have a major bearish divergence to watch out for on the weekly time frame, with higher highs confirmed in the price and lower highs in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. And technically, these lower highs have been confirmed just recently, but we don't really have a lot of confirmation. We do have some small confirmation here confirming the bearish divergence. But of course, based on the current situation, it could be easily invalidated if we see a quick breakout here in the RSI above this high right here. But of course, if the RSI is still below this previous high that we set back in early December 2024, in that situation, of course, there's still a bearish divergence forming, even if we see a breakout above this immediate high just here. And so in order to completely invalidate any chance of a bearish divergence forming, we need to see a breakout above the previous high in RSI, above December 2024, above that high right there, in order to completely get rid of the chance of a bearish divergence forming. So for now, of course, this is still a warning signal to pay attention to on the larger timeframes. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin chart, for now, we're once again seeing that possible bearish crossover flash in the 3-day Bitcoin MACD. But for now, we're not really seeing a lot of momentum to either direction. So even if this bearish crossover confirms, we're not necessarily seeing a significant amount of bearish momentum, but we're also not seeing a significant amount of bullish momentum either. And so either way, this is really pointing towards potentially a continued sideways consolidation as one of the most likely outcomes potentially in the coming weeks. Of course, we can see short-term bullish and short-term bearish moves during that larger sideways consolidation, but ultimately on this 3-day time frame, it is quite likely we could chop around sideways for a little longer. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, technically speaking, we've not confirmed any new bearish trend reversal. So at least for now, for all we know, this is just a sideways consolidation during a larger bullish trend. And of course, if we break below around 101 to 102,000 with confirmation, so candle closes below that level, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, that would be a bearish trend reversal signal, a change in the price structure. And in that situation, if we first confirm a break below 101 to 102,000, in that situation, we'll likely see a drop down towards around 96 to 97,000 as the next major area of support. But obviously for now, we're still holding above that 101 to 102K level, and we have significant resistance we cannot ignore at around 110,000 and also at 112,000. And while the price of Bitcoin is just somewhat chopping around sideways here in a larger sideways consolidation, if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 4-hour time frame, of course, just recently we saw that confirmed breakout above this previous area of resistance in between around 106 to 107,000, as I said in my last video. And so, like I said yesterday, we're likely going to continue a bit more of a bullish relief in the short term, but we need to be aware of these other levels of resistance where the price would likely struggle at. And so, like I warned about in my last video, just as we we're breaking out here, I said the next area of resistance I'll be watching in the short term is in between around 108,500 to 109,000, and then above that, the next significant area is in between 110 to almost 110,500, so roughly around 110,000. But obviously, before we could actually make it towards those highs, towards 110,000, we ran into that short-term area that I warned about in my last video, in between 108,500 to 109,000, and we exactly rejected from that area. And so obviously, this is why I cover multiple charts in these videos, not just rely on one chart in particular, pointing towards a possible short squeeze, because of course, even if we have perhaps liquidity to the upside, pointing towards a bit more of a short squeeze here, bullish relief, of course, we cannot ignore points of resistance where the price can likely reject from and struggle at. And so with that being said, now that we're rejecting from my exact area of resistance that I warned about, we're currently retesting this previous area of resistance, which could potentially act as a bit of support right now, and that's sitting in between 106,000 to 107,000. But if we actually see a continued move towards the downside below 106,000, especially with candle closes in the short term below 106,000, in that situation would likely retrace towards these lows just here at approximately 103.5 to 104,000. So at roughly around 104K, give or take, is the next short-term support. If we first confirm a break below 106,000, then of course below all of these prices, we have that significant area of support in between 101 to 102,000. But overall, despite seeing these short-term bullish moves and short-term bearish moves, remember the price is basically just in a larger sideways consolidation. As we could see, we're basically just seeing large choppy sideways price action during a large sideways price range. That is the current situation. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, for now we still have a lot of liquidity to watch out for in between roughly 110,500 to 111,500, so roughly around 111,000. We do have a decent amount of liquidity still building there. But as I always say, between the current price and that area of liquidity, we cannot ignore these other points of resistance along the way where the price can likely struggle at. And as for liquidity towards the downside, we do have a small amount at close to 104,000, a small amount at around 102,500, and also a decent amount building at close to 100,000. And when it comes to my exact Bitcoin trading strategy, of course, I'm still currently in the long position, the larger swing trade for the price of Bitcoin, because like I've been saying every day over the last couple of months, we're technically within a bullish trend from this point here onwards. The moment we broke out above 88,000, that was the change in price structure from this previous bearish trend into a new bullish trend on the daily time frame. So from that point, and as I've been sharing every day since then, I'm long on the price of Bitcoin. And then from time to time during this swing trade, I have taken a small amount of profits here and there at some key levels of resistance along the way towards the upside. And most recently, I did take some profits at pretty much exactly 110,000 at this most recent level of resistance right here. But over the last one day, I've made no new changes to this trade. And of course, if you want to take these trades for yourself to make a lot of easy profits in the crypto market, market, like what I'm doing, you have to be set up on a crypto exchange ready to go. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on 2bit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, up to $50,000. You can actually claim using the link below this video just by trading crypto. But if you're not one of these larger traders here, you can also get a $30 sign up bonus and a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So for example, if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your 2bit account, but only if you use that link. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want 2bit as an exchange, there's also BTNX as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video. And if you use that link, you can also get some massive trading bonuses over here, like for example, up to $45,000 in bonuses, and also deposit bonuses. Like for example, if you deposit just 1,000 USDT, you get a 200 USDT bonus into your BTNX account. But once again, only if you use that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well get set up ready to go to take advantage of these trading opportunities and these bonuses over on these exchanges. Once again, only available using those links. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, and currently Ethereum is also still in a sideways price range, kind of like Bitcoin at the moment, just chopping around sideways during support and resistance, in between support and resistance. And so currently we still have a lot of support at close to 2.4K and some short-term support at roughly 2.5K and significant resistance in between 2.7K to 2.8K. So overall on the daily time frame, not a lot has changed over the last few days. And if we're taking a look at this daily Ethereum price chart, technically speaking, we still have a bearish divergence to watch out for, with higher highs confirmed in the price and lower highs confirmed in the RSI. And over the last few days, this has not technically invalidated, which means it's technically still active. And so this bearish divergence for the price of ETH means we're most likely going to see a lack in bullish momentum, at least for the coming days or possibly weeks for the price of ETH, which means it is quite likely the price will remain range bound for the time being, kind of like what I said for Bitcoin. But believe it or not, you can make a lot of easy profits in the crypto market during choppy sideways price action just like this. And if you want to know how to do that, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But first, taking a look at Solana on the daily time frame, and currently Solana is still holding above this important area of support, which is still sitting in between 143 to 146. So for now, of course, that is the major area of support to pay attention to. And we also still have a possible double bottom pattern here, also known as a W pattern, but this will only actually confirm and set up a bullish price target only if we confirm a breakout above this line of resistance, which is sitting at approximately 167. And so I want to make this clear, at least for now, that possible double bottom and possible bullish price target is not in play. It is not currently confirmed, because it only confirms if we see this breakout here. So for now, obviously, with the price still holding above this important support, but currently lacking bullish momentum, it is actually quite likely that the price will just remain range bound for the time being in the shorter term following Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that's especially the case because we do technically have a bit of a short-term bullish divergence playing out on the 6-hour Solana price chart. And technically, despite the latest little pullback here, we've not yet confirmed an invalidation signal properly to invalidate this bullish divergence, which means at least for now, it is still technically active. But remember, a bullish divergence does not mean we're going to see significant bullish momentum. It just means we should not be expecting significant bearish momentum. So it is possible we could just remain range bound for a little while, or maybe see a slight bullish relief. Those are the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. And if the price of Solana were to actually confirm a break with a daily candle close below 143, in that situation, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, we'd likely see a move down towards around 124 to 125 as the next major level of support. But in the immediate short term, honestly, the price is kind of lacking momentum to either direction, so it is quite likely we could see a little bit more choppy sideways price action in the coming days for the price of Solana, especially if Bitcoin and Ethereum do the same. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the daily time frame, unfortunately, it's the same situation here for XRP on the daily chart. For now, we are clearly lacking momentum to either direction, as I've been saying over the last few days. Obviously, looking at the daily XRP MACD, we have a clear lack in momentum to both directions here. We're looking very flat in the momentum. And so this is simply pointing towards more choppy sideways price action like this in this sideways price range. And the sideways price range I'm talking about is really in between roughly $2.05 to $2.35. In that area, we're likely going to just remain chopping around sideways for the time being, most likely for the next few days, maybe longer, but at least for the next few days, expect the price to remain range bound. And the area of support to watch out for, once again, is really in between $2.05 to $2.10. And if we were to break below that area of support with confirmation, in that case, the next support is at around 191 to 195, and below that, the next support is at around $1.80. And then if we were to see a confirmed breakout above this area of resistance in between around 232 to 236, give or take, in that situation, the next resistance is at around 244, and above that, I'd expect more resistance at close to 260. But honestly, not a lot has changed for the price of XRP over the last one day. We're still looking very neutral, at least for now. So with that being said, getting straight into the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, and currently it's a similar situation for Chainlink. For now, obviously, we're still holding above this important level of support, at least as I've recorded in this video, which is sitting at around $12.80. But despite the fact that we're seeing bounces from this level of support, obviously we're not really seeing a lot of follow through. We're not seeing a lot of significant bullish momentum. So for now, even though there's the possible double bottom pattern here, W pattern, of course, like I've said recently, that would only actually confirm if we see a confirmed breakout above this level of resistance, which is really sitting at around $15.50. And so until we see a confirmed breakout above $15.50, at least for now, we're looking somewhat neutral, lacking momentum in this sideways price range between $12.80 and $15.50. And as for shorter term support and resistance levels, we do also have a bit of resistance at roughly $14.10 to $14.20. And over the last one day, that's exactly where we just saw a short-term rejection from. And obviously, I've been warning about that exact level of resistance since before we saw that perfect rejection over the last one day at $14.10 to $14.20. And if the price of Chainlink were to confirm a break with candle closes below around $12.80, in that situation, it would likely pull back down towards around $12.10 to $12.20, so just above $12. But if we fail to hold that as support, in that situation, it would likely see a dump below $11, in between around $10 to $11 as the next significant area of support in that bearish scenario. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 2-hour Chainlink price chart, of course, this short-term bullish divergence has effectively already played out very nicely here, but I'll no longer rely on the bullish divergence any longer because we already hit overbought on the RSI on the 2-hour time frame, which is a sign that we've run out of room towards the upside and that we're basically needing a bit of a cool off very soon. And that's exactly what has already started to play out here. And also, of course, we've seen a breakdown in the RSI below this ascending line of support and now below this previous low. And so these are all invalidation signals to invalidate the bullish divergence, which means we should not expect the bullish divergence to play out any longer. Obviously, it already played out very nicely for around 1 to 2 days, but currently we're simply cooling off after hitting those overbought signals. And so honestly, just expect similar price action for Chainlink in the shorter term as what I've been saying throughout the video for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, etc., which is mostly neutral price action. Maybe if we're talking about the immediate short term, a little bit of a pullback, basically resetting that previous bullish move, but overall in a larger sideways price range, especially for Bitcoin. And so if that's playing out for Bitcoin and a lot of the crypto market, usually Chainlink and a lot of the other altcoins follow similar price action, basically just chopping around sideways, seeing short-term bullish moves and short-term bearish moves. And so that is simply the situation for now. And of course, if you want to get set up ready to go to take these trading opportunities, get set up ready to go using the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can take these trades for yourself to make a lot of easy money in the crypto market, like what I'm doing right now, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.